Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Welcome to day 7 of our 14-day love, finances, and money mindset talk. So I hope you're doing wonderful today. It's a great day outside here in close to Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm going to give folks a few minutes to join in. We're going to have some great time today. I hope you're coming today with questions, ready to interact and engage, because I know I'm trying to share this. Just be patient with me. Let's see. So I really just want to give you all an opportunity just to ask some questions and for us to just dialogue about some stuff. So come on in. I know everybody may be getting ready for the Super Bowl, so we'll see how much interaction or engagement we get here on this live on today. I know everybody's getting ready. So let me just share here. And you should be able to share it out as well. So definitely feel free. Let me know you are here. Say hello. Sometimes I can't see you all. For some reason, I cannot see you. So let me get it shared in the main group. And we are there in that main group. Yes, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Welcome to 14 days of love, finances, and money mindset. I am Tangela Collins-Myers. I am a financial strategist, money mindset coach, and a business consultant, and now an international best-selling author, praise God. And so I, just excited about being here with you. I retired from corporate America about 26 years ago. Retired from corporate America in 2019, where I had spent 26 years with one of the top financial institutions in the world. And so there is where I really got my training, my experience, and expertise when it comes to finance, money. I'm an accountant by academic background. So this area has definitely been near and dear to my heart for a long time. And so now I'm just really passionate about helping individuals and families shift their money mindset, making sure we're on a healthy path, and giving you a blueprint to really build that strong financial foundation that you need for you and your family, so you can move on to the pathway of abundance and wealth. And so today I come to you day 7, and we've been spending the last 6 days talking about some great hot topics. So if you're there, say hello. Let me know you're there. I see I have a couple of folks joining in. Let me know you are there, because I definitely want to see what you have to say today. And so initially, I was going to just make this just an open Q&A and wasn't going to do too much other than kind of recap some of the key points that we talked about for the rest of this week. The rest of this past week. But as I was getting ready, the Holy Spirit said, you know what? Ask them, do they dream together? Because we've talked about a lot of different things with, making sure your mindset's together, being intentional about meeting up, coming to the table with, financial goals and, budgeting, making sure you're spending on purpose, all of those great things. But it really starts with, what's your dream? What do you want? And so my husband and I had a conversation about that this year as we were setting our goals for this year. We had an intentional conversation about what do we see for our family? What do we want for our family? Because believe it or not, most of the time, your dreams that you want, I don't care if it's you decide you really want to give more, you want to donate to your favorite charity, if you want to purchase a new home, if you want to send your kid to college, if you really want to build that generational wealth, all of it at some point comes back to some type of financial commitment that needs to be there in place. And there's some, like getting in shape, maybe, one of my goals is definitely to work out 3 times a day. It doesn't take money to do that, right? But if I want to go to a gym, it does. And so if you've been listening to this and you're saying, how do I get to the same page with my spouse on this whole money thing? And maybe you've attempted and it hasn't worked well. Start with dreaming, and you should do that anyway, right? You should start really thinking about, what do we want for our family? How do we envision our life together? Do we envision vacationing often? How often? So my family, we want a vacation at least once a quarter. That's 4 times a year, at least. I want to do more, but at least 4 times a year. So now knowing that, it helps us get clear. Okay, well, how do we get underneath that goal? That's a vision we have. It's frequently traveling together. And so now how do we get under that? We said, okay, 4 times a year. Great. Where do we want to go? We want to go to Aruba. We went to Jamaica. We want to go back. We took a family cruise 2 years ago. So it's being clear about what exactly you want. And now, okay, great. We know where we want to go. How much money do we need? How much money do we need to be willing to set aside to actually make this dream come to life? So, it starts with dreaming, and then it starts with setting goals after that, being specific, setting those SMART goals. And we talked about that. It's got to be specific. I can't just say, well, I want our family to travel more. I have done it, and great, without no specificity. Because guess what? We're not going anywhere. We didn't specify what it is we want. And so, I can't stress enough that I've learned over the course of the years, knowing what you want is so key to the manifestation. Because until you're clear on what you want, how are you ever going to attain it? And so I want to read from you a scripture verse that really aligns to this very heavily. Habakkuk 2, and I'm going to do 2 and 3. I know a lot of people just do 2. I'm going to do 2 and 3. So God says, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And let me read 2 back over again. The Lord answered me and said, write the vision. God didn't say, think about writing it. He didn't say you can write it if you want to. He said, write the vision. And that's with anything, not just finances, with anything. I can't stress that enough. Write the vision and make it plain on tablets. Hey, Tammy, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Plain upon tablets. Why is that? Listen, we get so busy in a day, in a week, in a month. Like you can have a thought of something you want to do today, and I guarantee you fast forward, you don't write it down. 6 months from now, you may not even remember that was a thought of something you really wanted to do. And so that's why it's important to write it down, because when you see it, and God says this, that he may run who reads it. So there's a couple of things. God said, write it down. That's a command. Write it down. Make it plain. Be specific. Crystal clear. On tablets, that he may run who reads it. Guess what? You're going to read what you wrote. I mean, I tell you, everything that we need, God already wrote it down. Told us exactly what we need to do, the remedy to it all. And so that's no different with finances. Dream as a couple. What kind of life do you want? Where do you want to live? And believe it or not, that is will be so helpful for you and your spouse or significant other, because now you're sharing, what do I want out of life? But then that comes back to, okay, great. We say we want to travel 4 times a year. Now we got to translate that into a financial goal. So that's going to be a savings goal for us that we need. You see how that works? Or if you have a spouse and you all dreaming and you say, you know what? I'm really ready. My husband, he's ready to purchase a new home. He wants to get out of the subdivision. I want to purchase a new home where we have land and space to entertain our family and to do, some of the things we want to do, because it's very restrictive when you live in a subdivision. So if that's a goal, if that's a vision of ours and the kind of space we envision living in, so we can have the freedom and flexibility to just invite a lot of family over, enjoy one another, then great. That's a vision. Okay, how do we translate that into a goal? Now we got to start to think about, how much money is it going to take for us to be able to do this? right? So now we got to translate that into, okay, here's the savings goals. One of mine was, listen, I want to retire by the time I'm 45. And praise God, he did it. And so, but that takes planning, and that takes understanding, what does that mean for me financially? What does that mean for us financially? And so we had a plan. We had to come together. Listen, I want to retire early because here are the things I want to be able to do for the family, for me, starting my own business. And we had to work together as a team on that. So he started his trucking business in 2018. That takes a financial commitment. I retired in 2019 because part of the vision was for, the business to get started, me to retire, and we had to work together on that. Again, going all the way right back to finances. And so, but most of all of this has to be built on the foundation of God. And so that's what, I just want to kind of share with you. And I know the Holy Spirit wanted me to share with you in terms of about just dreaming. Sometimes getting into the tactical might not work, but just start dreaming. What kind of life we want for our family? Just dream, take the limits off. If we want to drive across country in an RV and stop at all 50 states along the way, that's a dream. Now, how do we now turn that into a reality? How do we set those goals? How do we tag that financial goal to it? Now we're on the same page because we both want to drive across country. So that's, sharing and dreaming as a team. And so let's go back and recap day one. And if you have some questions or some comments, definitely put them in the chat. We talked a lot about, let me get this here. We talked a lot about, so day one, we really kind of just set the stage for this whole 14-day talk and discussion and why it was so important. And the bottom line is this: the second biggest reason of divorce or people just breaking up comes down to finances. Managing finances and financial challenges can be very, very, very stressful. And sometimes people don't know how to, or it just strains the relationships. And the next thing you know, they just are not able to overcome that. And so day two, we talked about love and money mindset. And so the slogan there was in the great, what Tina Turner says, what love got to do with it. And it comes down to, in anything that you do, finances included, we have to do everything in love. We have to do everything in respect. We have to do everything in grace. And it doesn't always happen. Nobody's perfect. But if we're striving to do everything in love, speak to someone in love, react and respond to people in love, then having these money conversations hopefully will be just a little bit easier for us to have them as spouses and significant others. After all, when you came together, you decided, hey, we're going to be a team. We're going to be a team. I decided I was going to be Team Myers on March 25th, 2006. No longer just Team Tangela, but Team Myers. The I went out the door. It's now we. And it's something that, I tell you, we haven't been perfect at. So I can talk to you about a lot of these things when it comes to finances and how to overcome and conversations you should be having, because we've gone through the experiences and it wasn't always pretty. And so day two was love and money mindset. And the money mindset piece, really, when you became one, you were individual people that came together and may have had different core beliefs when it came to money. One may have thought it was okay to live paycheck to paycheck because maybe that's all they saw their whole entire life. The other one may have thought, no, we need to save because that's what we saw a whole entire life. Some may have been exposed to investing ahead of time. Some may have experienced one person and one spouse being in control of all of the money and not having to work together as a team. And so it comes down to, what is your belief about money? And you started to establish those beliefs, just like with anything else in life. We started to establish those beliefs and those core values based on what we saw. That doesn't mean you have to stay there. right? So I'm a true believer and product of, just because of what you went through, what you was exposed to, don't mean you have to choose that to be your life. And so that's what money mindset was all about. Understanding what kind of beliefs you have, what kind of things are you bringing to the table. And then learning to identify, do I have a good, healthy money mindset, or do I need some work? And it's also just acknowledging that and understanding that within your mate, because we want them to be like us, but they're not. They're going to be like who they are. So now we've got to figure out how to make these two individuals, our core beliefs, work together. And it takes compromise, because maybe there's some core beliefs that we have that are on the opposing side, and it's causing a lot of conflicts in our relationship. And so now you have to work on, how do we move forward together in one? What's going to be our joint core belief when it comes to money? Are we a believer of, one of the greatest principles that I learned later in life was, first, you definitely, if you are a tither and giver into the kingdom, you definitely want to, give God what he's due, because all of it's his. But secondly, on that list, do you pay you and your spouse second before you start paying out money to everybody else? Think about how powerful that is. You go to work, let's say a 40-hour work week, and when you get paid, the first person or first company you think about paying is somebody else other than yourself, but you work for it all week. Where are you in that lineup? So the wealth principle is, other than paying into the kingdom, you pay you and your spouse first. Just think about that for a moment. That's a shift. So that means being intentional, having you all in the budget that we get paid first. Then we're going to worry about paying everybody else. And if you're not there and you feel like, well, I'm overextended, I can't really give myself something first before I'm paying all my bills, I got just enough to pay my bills, you want to work on that. You want to work on, how do we get some of these expenses down so we can pay us first? After all, we work for it. Just saying. So day 3, we talked about how to talk about money with your spouse. And that truly was really about setting time aside to be intentional about talking about your finances with your significant other. And so we talked about set a date. Set a date. Make it a date. Make it something that's not awkward. Be intentional about the time, because sometimes when you're trying to talk to people and they're on the go, you also know your significant other. You in a relationship with them. You know when it kind of feels like, okay, it's a good time to talk, not a good time to talk. I definitely would encourage you, don't try to bring up money discussions and challenges, especially if you have not been successful. Don't bring those up when your significant other may not be in the mood. So set the date, say, hey, listen, Friday night, I want us to get together. I want us to sit down. I want us to talk about our finances. I want to talk about, what's our vision for our family. Let's just make sure that we're together on the same page when it comes to finances and money. Set a date. And that will do a couple of things. One, it will get each of you prepared to know this is what we're coming to the table for. So hopefully by that time, your significant other has gotten mentally prepared to have the discussion. Secondly, it is being intentional to set aside the time so that now it's not, you're not trying to do other things and have the money conversation at once. And then after you have the money conversation, do something fun, do something romantic. So you start to really create the culture that us talking about our finances, our money, our goals, where we are, becomes just natural. It's no situation where it has to be tense. It's just a natural part of what we need to do. Now, my hats off to those couples who have mastered it. And you can say, you know what, we can have that conversation about finances. We're on the same page. We have no problems. My hat's off to you all. And I would say that you have a lot to offer other couples, other couples that are going through that may not be there yet. Let us in on some secrets that you've had and shared it. So hopefully you're inside our group, the 14-day Love Finances and Money Mindset group, where feel free to drop some of those nuggets and gems of how did you do it? How did you make it work well for you? After all, we need one another. And then day 4, we talked about setting financial goals as a team. So that was amazing and awesome, because it's interesting. I've had conversations, and I know sometimes that couples don't work together financially. It's the mentality, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. And you may not always have visibility into what's going on financially with one another. And you have to say, listen, when we came together, is that what we really intended, to still kind of continue to live separate, or did we really want to come together? And I would tell you that going into day 5 is where we talked about spending on purpose, really putting that budget in place. And so how, coming together as a couple and being intentional about assigning what you want your money to do for you. And a budget is a great way to do that. Budgeting is not meant to be restrictive. Budgeting is actually meant to be a gateway to financial peace, because now hopefully working together, you have a clear understanding of what monies we have coming in, being intentional about where do we want our money going out to, including making sure you paying you all, both of you in that equation. And so just being a real intentional and realizing that budgeting is just a way to help you make sure you achieve those financial goals. So, I talked about one of the things that we want to do as a family is make sure that we travel 4 times a year. Well, we've got to set aside the money to be able to do that. So guess what? We have a savings goal in the budget that speaks to travel. So that has to be in there. And then day 6 was all about combine or not combine. That is the question. And I know that is a hot topic. Do we combine accounts? Don't combine accounts? Is it okay that, everybody has their own individual accounts, and how do you make that work? And so we talked about a couple of different strategies or approaches there. Of course, you can do the put it all together. There are some that are at that place that they are willing and ready to try to just put it all together. Let's combine accounts. We're going to have one family account. Let's combine credit cards. Let's combine life insurance policy. When they said I do, that's exactly what they meant. They meant no more I in team, it's we. But then there are some, because we go back to this whole money mindset and what you believe about money and your money habits, where maybe that hasn't worked out for some couple. Maybe they've had to say, you know what, let's just agree on, we will put in equal amount. So maybe, each spouse says we're going to put in $500 a month, $500 a week from each of us that will go into this pool that will take care of our household expenses. Or some, if you've got a spouse that makes more money than the other, hey, Yolanda, how are you? More money than the other. Maybe you all have decided that, okay, you put a little bit more in than I will because you make a little bit more, but we're still going to kind of keep our own separate spending accounts, but we will come to the table and put more in for the house to take care of the household expenses. And then there are some that just said, okay, well, just give me a certain bill to pay. And what I would tell you is that no way is right or wrong. Hey, Cynthia, how are you? No way is right or wrong, but it's going to be what works for you. Also, what I would tell you is that you want to know that you don't always have to stay with the same approach. So, prime example, my husband and I, we started out trying to combine everything, realized, wait a minute, we've got to work on some things where we've got some different views about savings, because my mom taught me to be a big saver. And I would tell you, it was so much of a savings that sometimes we didn't put money in places where it needed to grow and work for us. So I had to unlearn some of that. And my husband's on the opposite spectrum. He is a, listen, you only live once kind of person. He's a big risk taker. I'm a calculated risk taker. So we had to come together and get to a common ground on that. And so we started out trying to put it all together, realized we had to rein it back a little bit until we got some shared understanding. And so now we've moved to a place where there's more combined than not. We still keep our separate kind of spending accounts for me to do what I want to do with my extra money, and he does what he wants to do with his extra money, but coming together to make sure that everything else is taken care of. And so that was the combine or not to combine. And so you can always work together. But remember, you come together in a relationship to be a team. Do team members work together or do they work apart? That's all I'm saying. So you figure out where you need to strive to within that. And then the key point around that combine or not to combine, no matter which one you decide to do, particularly if you decide, hey, Tanya, that we are not going to combine together fully. I am just a true believer that each spouse or each partner or your significant other should be clear on what you have going on financially. Particularly if you're married, there's nothing worse than one spouse to die and the other spouse has no idea where things stand financially, what kind of bills they need to worry about trying to take care of. Some may not even know where all the bank accounts are. As a spouse, if you truly love the person that you with, don't put them in that situation. I just can't imagine. So when you lose someone that you love and now you've got to try to scramble around and figure out what's going on with them financially, I'm sure that can be very, very challenging. So at least agree to be open and transparent with one another about where everything exists, where everything is. If you have 5 accounts, make sure I know where they are. You know, if you have extra debts out there, please make sure I know where they are. So I said, be transparent. And so then we come to day 7 where we talk about, do you dream together? And that's what we just discussed. Sometimes if you can't tactically go in and start having the money conversations, tactically go in and start, figuring out the dreams. Hey, Danielle, it really is. Start with the dream. What do you want as a family? What kind of life do you envision as your family? And most of the time, what you're going to find is that it's going to come back to some financial thread in there, something we need to save, something we need to establish. I'm real big on building generational wealth and leaving a legacy for my kids and my grandkids. I'm just really, really big on that now. And so if that is a common goal that you all have, and you can agree on that, then now having the conversation about money and what it's going to take and what you need to do, I would say definitely, solicit the guidance and the advice of someone who's an expert in that field. But it should not be, you should be able to be on the same page with this is both our common goals. So now, let's go seek out what it is that we need to do together. What habits do we need to put in place together that's going to help us reach that financial goal? So any questions, any comments? I know I can't see everything, see all the comments that may come in, but let me know if you have any comments or any thoughts, or if you want to join me on the screen. I know it's Super Bowl Saturday or Super Bowl Sunday, and everybody may be getting together. I know some of our kids called us today, said they're going to be meeting together and preparing like a little Super Bowl gathering. So unfortunately, my husband and I, we're going to be quarantined with our grandson, our nephew, and one of our grandbabies because my husband tested positive for COVID. So y'all pray for us. But everybody's doing well. Can't complain. So any questions, any thoughts, any feedback, make sure you're in the group. The 14-day Love, Finances, and Money Mindset. Make sure you join the group. Again, that's our group. If you got some great tips, advice that will help someone, please feel free to comment, chime in. If you got questions, chime in on that as well. And of course, if you watch me and you follow me, you know that I am definitely passionate and in the space of finances. So if you need some assistance with just kind of making sure your financial foundation is solid and looking at and ensuring you have all your different aspects covered, reach out to me. Let's have a quick consultation. Let's see what you need. If you're looking for solutions around life insurance, retirement planning, or credit restoration, you want to increase your credit score this year because you've got some purchases you want to make, definitely reach out to me. I will be able to help you do that. My goal is to help more people get into homes this year because this is the time. let's own some assets. It's time to start to really build that legacy and make sure we got some things in place for our kids, particularly with life insurance. That's how, that is a very useful tool and vehicle to be able to leave a nice legacy behind for your family. So definitely reach out to me if you need any help. Anybody have any questions, any comments? I'll just give it a minute here. Just trying to go over here and see if I can see anything in the group. I tell you what, I am technology challenged, so y'all bear with me. I'm taking a little bit more time today. Sunday's a little bit more laid back. And then we're going to continue to come to you for the rest of the week with some more specific topics, going in a little deeper on particular areas of financial goal setting. So we'll get into talking about debt elimination. We'll talk about life insurance in more detail. We'll have the discussion around credit. Why is it important? How do you begin to turn your credit profile situation around? How is it calculated? We'll get into discussing some things like that, as well as talking a little bit about retirement planning. So we'll have some discussions there. And then, but on February the 13th, I'm really, really excited because I will be one of the guest speakers on a phenomenal show that one of my business partners and friend has, which is A Hope and Company. And she will be, she really helps us to shop small businesses. She showcases small businesses, their products, their services. And so it's the A Hope and Company marketplace. I'm excited about that. We'll be having some big giveaways on the 13th around this whole financial goal setting, financial edition for couples and for individuals. So tune in. And then also, I just thought about something. If you've been watching me for the last 7 days, if you can tell me if you've picked up on something about me, I know that's kind of cryptic, right? But if you picked up on something or you noticed something about me every day that I come on, I have been on for the last 7 days, send me a message because I want to give you a free gift. Send me a message. There's something been very unique about me for the last 7 days. Every day I show up, there is a trend. So if anybody's been paying attention, tune in, send me a message, get you a free giveaway that I'm going to give. But anyway, I won't prolong it any longer. It is 2:48 and I'm going to go down and get prepared for my family for the rest of this evening. I'm going to tune in to the Super Bowl. What's your team? Anybody going for anybody in particular? This year, I mean, usually the Panthers are my team, but they're not in the Super Bowl this year. But I would like to see Tom Brady win. I would. I know people say, well, Tom Brady's won a lot of championships, but not with a new team. So I'm excited for him because it just shows that when you are just talented, that you can take your talent anywhere and make an impact. So, but anyway, everybody have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. And we will see you back here on tomorrow at 2:14. You all have a fabulous day.